You know, the way it said you will forever be archive lover on this server sounded like a threat.
Damn. Mm-hmm.
It sounded like I was being branded with the scarlet letter. Anyway, hi.
Yeah, welcome to the Goon server. Hey, it's been a long time. Where have you been?
It has. I've been around. I just stopped playing Dota. So.
Yeah, that's
much
actually
better,
for the
I guess,
best.
than when we last spoke.
Oh my god, Dota's so fucking. Dota's so Dota. Alright.
It's just Dota. It's just there's no other words for it except maybe League of Legends. That's another word for Dota.
Oh no.
These are all very dirty words, like Smite and Bloodline Champions.
Okay, so this is my screen, so you can actually see what I'm doing with the code.
Here's my question: why don't you just use the like Steam Stream
Oh,
thing?
is it easier? I've never tried it.
It has not like 20 seconds of latency. I don't know.
I haven't
Give
tried
a
it.
shot, I guess.
I could try it.
Basically, it is much faster, but much more likely to fuck up. Like, all you need to do is turn on the option, and then when I ask to view your stream, just let me.
Oh, okay.
On that note, maybe you have the option turned on anyway. Let's see. Watch game.
I don't know.
Tell me if that pops up anything for you, I
Yeah,
guess.
it does. You've been approved.
Alright. Well, either this is going to work, and that's all you need to do, or it isn't going to work, and we use Twitch. And I've yet to identify the difference between the two outcomes. I did try using the new NVIDIA GeForce Experience streaming thing recently and had about a
Shadowplay.
20% success rate.
It worked really
Yeah, no,
good about 5 months ago, and then I've never
It's,
been able to get it to
it's
work
a, it's
again.
a it's a slightly different thing to that.
Oh,
Like like if it is working, you could theoretically just play a game on someone else's computer, like cloud gaming or whatever.
oh, Googie was doing that at
Which
his
is
at
neat.
Cornell. They were setting that up at his university, and that was interesting.
That's cool. Anyway, this is not working, so there we go. I guess we have. Oh nope, now it is. All right. Well, now I see your screen. So I guess you have my pseudocode, and you can figure out if that's any good.
I'll try. All right, so we're doing here is we're gonna pull from. We got several inbox commands, which this is input essentially.
All right. So we want like both of them to be okay. So here's the thing, is when you're performing commands, are you performing them on like one particular register? Like how do you do jump if zero?
Okay,
what does
so
that apply to?
Jump is merely just a go to this code kind of thing.
I get that, but what I
Okay.
mean is like what is it checking?
Oh, what is okay? So this homeboy right here, this dude in the top left corner, that's essentially your operator, and that is what determines whatever he is holding will be checked for the if-then statements. So like here,
Oh.
I'll just do a ton of different inbox
Oh,
things. He grabs it every time, and then he can copy
That makes things
to
slightly more complicated.
yeah.
I guess not by much.
But he can do all these basic commands, and he can add stuff. Let me just show you. I don't know how much of a lag this has, but maybe you can see this will do work.
I guess okay. Put in an instruction. Tell me what it is, and then I'll tell you when I see it.
I broke it.
Did you?
Are you seeing me put commands in the right-hand box?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I just saw your little guy pick up something from the inbox. So that should tell
What
you
is
how
it?
far behind I am, which is like 10 seconds, 8 seconds. I don't know.
That needs to go.
Alright, so,
Get out of here.
Oh, so add is, you can just add a number, or does that...
No, it
that
has
was
to be a-
add, That was add register 1, okay.
You can only add to something that is in. I guess in memory.
I think usually in assembly programming, those are called registers. Which
Okay,
is why
registers.
I said that earlier.
Okay. I'm not, dude. I'm not a programmer.
I have kind of like cargo cult knowledge of assembly programming. My knowledge might be actively wrong instead of merely absent, but so what it checks when you do jump is what you're holding.
Correct.
Right, so if you do inbox, you just take the thing. So
Exactly. That's a copy from
I-
input.
So you don't actually need, like, once you've checked something sign, you don't need it anymore, basically? Like if you do inbox, I assume that that just takes the first one and then the second one just replaces it.
Yeah, he just throws it away if you do multiple inboxes at a time.
Okay,
I'll
so
do that
instead
real
of
quick.
instead of doing inbox, you do like inbox, decision 1. Like inbox, is it negative? If so, jump to decision. Inbox, is it negative? If so, jump to result 1, result 0. And then like output 0, jump to start. Okay, so just whenever let me think here. Right, so just put like from what my pseudocode was, instead of having 2 inputs at the start, just have 1 inbox at the start, 1 inbox after the decision point, and another inbox at the start of the place it goes if it chooses to jump. So yeah, like that.
Yeah.
And then just do the rest of the pseudocode basically like I did it, and that should work. And if it doesn't, then we'll find out why.
So right here where we have the is 1 negative? If so,
Yep.
jump to decision. I've got that
Right.
there. So
Right,
is
so after-
2 negative.
So if the second one is negative, so here you're gonna want the second input again because you're jumping over the one you put in.
Are we
Like,
are we doing anything with that number once we grab it from?
cause like I feel like all we need to do with either number is just check if it is negative or not.
Okay.
Okay, so I assume jump if negative does not count 0 because that would be stupid.
Right, 0 is
And so we
positive in
don't-
this
right, so
game.
we don't need to check for that. So yeah, just after the first. Well, okay, it depends on what order you want to do this in, but I feel like the easiest way to do is like go to where the first jump sends you, and then just put in the second input there.
Like we're putting that on a register.
Well, like what I mean is you have your first input, and you have the jump if negative. As soon as you've done or not done with that jump, we no longer need what you're holding. So on both ends of the jump, you can just immediately input the next one. So like whether or not it does or not, you just have the next one. So you have one for if it doesn't jump, and then you just need one for if it does jump. You just put that like right after where it first jumps. Like when you input something, you're just holding it, right? It doesn't go into any registers, right?
Correct, and it will be overwritten by what your next action unless you do a copy to in the registry.
Right, and you don't need the thing at all unless.
Nope, because all we're outputting is 1s and 0s.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. So inbox jump if negative, that's good. Inbox, I guess let's do the jump if. Hold on, I need a quick think.
Yeah, no, that's all this game is. It's a brain tickler the entire time.
Right, so we've got our 2 jumps set up, and after, like, above those 2 jumps, I guess, just put in output 0.
Okay.
Like, output 4, I guess.
It would be copy from 4 and then put to output.
Yeah, sorry, copy from 4, outbox. After the second jump decision point, and then just a jump to start. And that should basically make this program function for double positive.
Alright, we forgot something here. Let me know when it's caught up.
Let's see. So inbox. Wait, what happened to the? Oh, you put. Hold on, give me a second. Can you
Yeah.
run that again?
Yeah. Oh, here we go. It's just going to be different numbers.
It doesn't matter. I'm just a little confused. As long as they're not both positive. Or, hold on. No, what we forgot was that those weren't both positive, so the thing doesn't function.
Well, we don't
It's
have any
like-
commands for when we actually get a negative number so far.
Right. So, like, if you want, I see there are 2 more, and then you can get a double positive, and you can check if that just works.
Yeah, actually, the next 2 that popped up are double positive. Let's see if this functions. It's unfortunate you can't pre-test that
Yeah,
stuff.
you can't just give it inputs to test with, but
It worked, though. Let's I got a
Alright,
double
so-
positive, and this proved
Alright,
itself.
so
It
that's
did work.
good. That's good. So what we want now is, let's see. There's probably a few more efficiency changes we can make, but let's just get this working first. So we've got jump if negative, or we're gonna want. So the first jump if negative should lead to a decision point. The second jump if negative should lead to the okay. So the second jump should lead to a place that does copy from 5 outbox, which I guess it currently just needs to do copy from 5, like right above that outbox. Well, no, that outbox needs to be where the copy from 4 is, I think.
So my question is, if we got the first negative is going to be caught up in step 2, but then it's going to go in. It needs to go back to the inbox somehow after that, right? Because you have to grab a second number to see if that other one is either positive or negative.
That's what I was mentioning earlier. You just need another inbox there, like where you just put copy from 5
Sure.
to inbox. Or hold on. So you got jump if negative. So hold on. Where we are now is if the second one is negative, right? Like where you just put that copy from 5.
That's right.
Okay, so that doesn't need an inbox because we've already checked both.
Correct.
Okay, so we need an inbox in the place it goes if it detects negative on the first one. So between the 2 decision points there. Or between the 2 places it goes from those 2
Correct.
jumps.
Yeah, your 2 endpoints. I gotcha.
Yeah. That's where it's going to need another inbox, and then it's also going to need another jump there. Another jump if negative. And if it is a negative, so that would be for hold on, let me think. So that would be for negative. So it would jump to the same place it goes. Okay, so you put the jump if negative there, and it just goes to the same place it goes if it doesn't ever jump to the copy from 4 and outbox. And just put the outbox there in the copy from 4 area, because there might be a way to have only one or fewer outbox instructions than we have, but that's optimization. We could just get it working first.
Correct. I feel. You might actually be thinking at a faster level than I am, because I'm still a little all over the place now.
Okay, so basically we've got input. We've got jump if negative to a place where it checks if it's negative again. So if it jumps both times, then it's negative both times, and it outputs 0. If it is positive both times, it skips both jumps and outputs 0. So currently we have it working for 2 of the same sign, right?
Yeah, I don't have any. I wonder if I can keep resetting until I get some numbers that could prove this. Here, first 2 are going to be double negative, second 2 are going to be double positive. Let's try this. Okay, so in a second you'll see.
All right, let's find out. Oh, okay. Where?
It looked like we didn't have a full reset because it just took
Yeah. Oh, no. You know what happens is we lost the jump back because you put the jump back at the very end, but then when you inserted the version that outputs 1, you didn't insert a second jump for it. It just took the old jump, and now the so basically, let me see, where is that? Oh, so right below the outbox instruction, the first outbox instruction is missing a jump. The second one, which you were hovering over 8 seconds ago, I guess, has one, but the first one does not.
Line 6 needs a jump under it to go back to the beginning of the code.
Yeah. Like, whenever you have outbox, that means we're done. So that means every outbox needs to have a jump to start at
Perfect.
After it.
All right, I'm going to run it with that change.
All right.
Well, so far, so good.
I guess this is my free demo. I guess this is
You're playing through me. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Alright, I'm in suspense here.
This is perfect. You did it, dude.
Oh, does it also...
It all
Did we
worked. Check it out.
accidentally also
Yeah.
get the- Okay, I wasn't sure if the program was actually complete.
Oh, you
at this
kicked its
point.
ass. You even beat the optimization challenges with this.
Oh, good.
So this game has optimization challenges because, of course, there's more than
That's
one way to get
terrifying.
through. Yeah, this has been for the entire look and feel of this game is for like maybe someone in middle school or high school. This kicks my ass, man, and I have a college degree. This is
Look,
bullshit.
I'm telling you. Look, I'm a chemical engineer. Well, okay, I'm most of a chemical engineer. This is this is not for babies.
No, I mean, I got through quantitative analysis and I couldn't get through this shit. This is ridiculous. Oh,
Yeah, no, like, here's the thing though. Like, I got that optimized just because it was so simple. Space Chem has taught me that I'm a bad engineer.
yeah, Space Chem made me feel like I should quit biology and chemistry altogether.
Yep, same, absolutely same. Like, it is, man. But,
So as you can
also
see
it's
here,
harder than actual chemistry.
this is not the beginning puzzle. I'm about halfway through the game, and this is where you get to learn and get all those tools that we had on the side to start with. But it's still only halfway there. This shit I expect to be ridiculous at the very top. So that's this game. I think it's fun. I think it's a really good way to introduce people into programming that if they would maybe make some softer ideas or conceptual levels that would
I was
explain.
gonna say, if you finish this game and want the hardcore version, you should play TIS 100.
I've never heard of that, TIS 100.
Oh, you haven't? Well, I think that's what it's called. Let me see. So, you know Space Chem?
Yeah, that game
You know,
makes me
you know
feel
this
stupid.
game?
Yeah.
TIS 100 is this game as made by the people who made Space Chem. And basically, the quote-unquote story behind TIS 100 is that you found like an old computer that your dad had or something, and it's like broken, and you're repairing it, and the way you repair it is by writing these assembly programs. But it is literally just an assembly language. Like, there's no metaphor there.
Oh
Like,
lord, this looks ridiculous.
If you look at these, like, you just have registers and instructions, and like I think there's a place you can go where you can just make your own programs, and I'm sure by now someone has coded TIS 100 within TIS 100, because that's the kind of thing a guy will do.
That
This
is
sort of game.
frightening.
But yeah, like this is TIS 100 for baby bones in that sense, but it is still some serious shit.
And as introductory as this is, and I know it's introductory, that's why I feel even stupider. This game, HR management, whatever it's called, human resource machine. I had to look up what this actual the concept of this exclusive lounge level was. It's called Exclusive OR, XOR, and it's a really basic premise. We all understand
Well,
if you
to
want
be
to.
fair, like,
Go
I've read one review of this game, and what it said is that it's not so much meant to teach you how to play it as it is meant to be sort of a, like, you know how you'll have a course and you'll have like a textbook and a book of like problems. This is the book of problems, and there's no textbook because the textbook is called like an assembly language programming textbook.
This is, yeah, I feel this is actually a very well-made and beautifully rendered test to see if you have the knowledge for all this.
Pretty much. And the thing is, like, I feel like this game is for people like me, definitely, because I know how to program, but I'm not a programmer, and that feels like what this is for. Like, what kind of person this is for. Because, like, you can figure out programming with this game, I bet, if you just hit your head on it long enough, but I don't know. Like, you can teach. So I learned to program when I was like 4.
Wow.
But, that didn't count. I just learned like 3 instructions in BASIC. When I was actually taught to program, I was about 11. And you can teach an 11-year-old high-level programming. High level as in not assembly, not high level as in complicated. And they won't pay any attention because they're a 10-year-old, and 10-year-olds are shitty. But I was a pretty smart 10-year-old, so like I could grasp it at the time. I don't know how I would have done with assembly programming.
I don't know how relevant it is in today's programming to understand that anyway. Is that really the
It's
basis
fun.
for
It's a
like?
video game right now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess.
I don't know if people do a lot of assembly programming nowadays. I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Like that, I think is exclusively the realm of the enthusiast nowadays.
You can see on the levels here, there's 2 dots on some of these guys. Those are the optimization challenges. There's speed and efficiency.
So like,
lines of
number
code.
of instructions and number of cycles.
Yeah, and there are some they say you can't actually get both on the same program, but there's multiple
That
ways.
makes sense.
So fewest lines and turnaround time. So you can have like really small amount of lines, but there's just a bunch of shit ton of loops, and your operator is spending forever putting an output.
It's too bad there isn't one for using the fewest number of registers, because we used 0 on that one. Hoo boy.
That was pretty
Or 3
impressive. They've always seemed to have given more registers than are required in the previous levels. I don't know if that's intentional or not.
I feel like it's leaving you the space to be inefficient. Like, it's leaving you the space to have a poor solution, because if you're only given as much as you need for the most optimized solution.
That's true.
Then
but
you don't really have the room to fuck up.
But that also doesn't leave you the room to go through the process that you originally talked about with me, which was get it working, optimize it later. And so you need that sometimes.
The fact that you can't get in your own inputs is kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Like, especially since, like, I knocked out that pseudocode by just running through the inputs in my head. Like, I was like, oh, here's what happens when I get a negative number. But, like, if I had the game in front of me, there's not really any excuse for not just being able to put in a negative number and find out what like, are you sure there's no option for that? It seems like...
Yeah, you're right.
Is there like a practice level where you just have the maximum number of registers and can set your inputs?
No, there's not a template like that you could build to work on these. I guess this really is just a giant test.
And it's a weird oversight though, because like I've done, like, other than obviously just having tests in my programming classes, I have been to like when I was a kid, I went to like programming contests or whatever for kids, and like they just gave you a compiler. Like, they didn't expect you to knock out the pseudocode and then write it in, I guess, Pascal or C++ or whatever, like, just out your brain. Like, you got a compiler and you could test your own inputs.
Yeah, God, the first programming language I was introduced to was Pascal, and I hated that thing.
Really? I don't know. I thought, like, I'm the kind of asshole kid who thinks about how pedagogical my teacher's approach is while they're doing it. Like, I get mad whenever, like, I get really inwardly mad whenever someone does something that I think is a poor explanation, even if I understand it, because I know other people aren't.
True.
Like, I can feel it. Anyway, that's me being a huge dipshit. Basically, like, when I learned Pascal, I was like, yes, this is a good language to teach to baby bones. This is a good baby language. I don't know if that's true for other people, because programming didn't really stick to them, but, like, okay, so here in the glorious land of the university, we just use MATLAB. But, like, once you've learned one language, you've learned them all, other than, like, object-oriented stuff.
I think that was the biggest bickering around Pascal at the time it was taught. There were more prevalent object-oriented languages at the time.
Is Pascal even object-oriented? I don't remember.
I don't.
And if it is, I never learned to do object-oriented programming with it. But, like, all you really need to do to get someone to understand programming is just teach them if statements, teach them the, like, 2 different kinds of loops they'll ever need. Really, I'm pretty sure you basically never need anything but a while loop, but there's a reason why we have these convenient things like for loops and such.
It is. Technically, it is object-oriented, so...
Weird.
Never mind,
I didn't know that at the time, so clearly we were not taught that part of it. But, like, you just need to learn the principles, and Pascal feels... I don't know, it feels more... So the syntax feels simple enough.
Well, Wikipedia says it's imperative and procedural programming language, but I mean, there is a derivative called Object Pascal. I was not taught Object Pascal. I was taught Pascal 11, I believe, so that was not Object.
I was just taught, like, Borland Pascal or something. It was, like, I assumed they all basically compile the same code, but... But yeah, like, I don't know how you teach some, like, a video game like this as a way to sort of visualize like pseudocode is very good, and the more you can abstract out pseudocode into something that, like, what do you call those things? Flowcharts?
Well, yeah, that's
Like,
what I was thinking of when you created all this code. You are just essentially making a inline flowchart to be executed.
right, so the way we were taught programming is we started with flowcharts, and we started with, like, oh, a square means this is an instruction. A circle means we are reading or writing something. A diamond means a decision point.
Correct.
And we just had these, like, is that actually what it was? I was just assuming. I thought those little. Anyway, so we did that, and that was supposed to teach us, like, what a program is. And then we did something called pseudocode, which was just like, basically just wrote Pascal, but with lenient syntax and not in English. Basically we were just writing code that could not be compiled by anything, but was functionally identical to actual code, as a way of sort of easing into, like, the syntax of a compiler without.
Well, you were proofing the concepts, right? And then you'll get the code correct later, right?
Sort of. Like, basically, like, what I wrote to you now was pseudocode in that it was the complete instruction set for the complete set of lines of code for the thing you were trying to do, but you couldn't, like, paste that into the game or anything.
Right.
Like, you had to translate that into the game's known language, and that's what pseudocode was. And then we just did Pascal for a while, and I don't know, I took to it pretty well because I'm a nerd. But,
I think this was fun. See, I did all kinds of dumb bullshit when I was stuck on this problem. I researched what XOR was, because it's exclusive.
See, maybe that's the problem. Maybe you should have just stuck to, like, first principles. And just, like, not looked up the sort of thing you should theoretically be working towards, because it'll just give you bad ideas.
Yeah, I was going down a rabbit hole. I was trying to figure out, okay, well, there's got to be a mathematical statement that says 2 positives added will always be positive. Therefore, I know I can, in that situation, if I was output of 1.
Here's the secret to that, though. Addition will not help you.
Oh, I'm sure.
You need multiplication to figure that out, because any 2 numbers of the same sign multiplied will be positive, and any 2 numbers of different signs multiplied will be negative.
And see, up to this point, all we have, I was sticking to the rule sets of what we have in the game, which is adding and subtracting. We don't have multiplication yet. So I was, like, trying to work with the tools that
I'm not convinced you ever will. I'm
okay.
Assembly seems low leveled enough that you'll just one day the game will tell you, here, code something that multiplies using addition and reading and writing from registers.
You're probably right. I don't know. So
I think, okay, so you currently don't have a way to compare something to a value in a register, right?
No, there's no comparison. There's only, a jump if 0 or negative.
I feel like you well, actually you wouldn't, because like, if you want to compare 2 numbers, you just check their signs first. Actually, no, you just have to subtract the second from the first, right? And if you get a positive number, that means the second one is smaller.
Well, as long as there's mixed symbols, you can either come out with a positive or negative if you're only using subtraction, so it's difficult.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you have -3 and -5, and you subtract. Hold on. Let me have one of those little things for a second. Here.
Please, because I had that all, like, yesterday, and I was like, 2 negatives, if subtracted, will always be negative, but you can have a greater negative.
No, I think we're fine, because if you have, like, -3 and -5, and then 5 and 3, in both cases the first one is bigger, and in both cases you get positive if you subtract the second from the first.
They're both negative, -3 and -5, right?
Right, so -3 and -5, you subtract -5 from 3 and you get from -3 and you get 2. And the other version, in which it is 5 and 3, so still the first one is the bigger one, you still get 2. So, like, as long as one of them, and if you have, like,
-5 minus -3 would be -2, wouldn't it?
Right, but I switched them around, so they would, like, when it's positive it's 5 and 3, when it's negative it's -3 and -5. So the second one is always the smaller one.
Gotcha.
And in that case, both times it gives you a positive difference. So yeah, I think that just works. Like whenever if you ever need comparison, you just do you just subtract one from the other. And obviously, if you still need both, you'd need to store them and then like read one, subtract the other, and then check negative on what you're holding, and then
that's the thing.
move from there.
I didn't know how to make there like an actual check from the code that we had. There might actually be a way. I'm so unfamiliar with it.
Hold on, I check for what?
When you check to see if what it came from was, if it's a negative result, did it come from two negatives beforehand or not? Because that's the ultimate question.
Oh,
the
right.
pairings have to be
for the one we just solved.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think you can solve that one with addition unless I'm missing something. So, okay, let's have a think. No, I don't think there's any consistent thing you can get there. Because, like, for example, you could have like -7 and then -2, and then if you subtract -2 from -7, you get a negative. And then you could have like 7 and 10, and that would get you a negative. You could have absolutely any combination of signs could get you negative. And so negative is just useless as a result.
Correct.
For subtraction. And addition is equally worthless because you'll always get, like, okay, I guess so addition is only useful for weeding out double positives.
Yeah,
I guess.
Very...
Except no, that doesn't help either because you can get positive from positive and negative too. Yeah, I don't think addition can be used at all.
-7 minus -10 would be... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah, I think you just have to... But, like, you already have... Like, that's the thing. Like, you already have the tool that checks for signs. So that's what you should have gone with. But, hey, sometimes ideas don't come to your brain. That's something I face daily because I'm an idiot. But
I like the underlying concept because it was Boolean, exclusive Boolean or exclusive OR, and I just didn't know how to make the code work to make it as a practical solution.
Yeah, see, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking of like, here are the inputs, here are the outputs. Here is this thing that just checks for signs, and the output cares about signs. How do I do that? Like, I wasn't thinking XOR. Like, you said that, but I basically forgot that like 30 seconds after you said it. So.
But I didn't know what that was before I started playing that level. I did, like, I googled YouTube and stuff like that. Apparently it's a big engineering thing, so I'm like, I was never taught any of that stuff.
I mean, XOR, I don't think most, like, I guess, like, I don't think Pascal had an XOR operator. He just had OR and. Like, XOR is just, like, okay, so do you know, did this get you to look up a bunch of stuff about logic gates?
Yeah, that's what it came to.
Yeah, because, like, there's like, what? There's
7.
Yeah,
there's 7 logic gates.
Yeah, so there's OR, there's XOR, there's AND, there's NAND, there's NOT.
Yeah, and not XOR and all this other stuff, so...
That's all I got, I think. I'm up to 5, and I think that's all I got. But, yeah, like, you can obviously make all the, like... There's this thing called Turing completeness that basically just means you can make any logic gate out of your... Like, you can get any logic gate out of your programming system, and that means you can make any program happen, since, like, a circuit is just a series of logic gates.
That's true, yeah.
But, and I have to assume this is Turing complete, because why wouldn't it be? Like, it is just assembly. So, yeah, like, I assume it's made you do, like, or AND maybe before? Or is XOR the first one of those that it's sort of obviously made you do?
I only know it to be that because it's in the instruction set for that level. There are probably other ones that will either come up or I may have already done, but it's
so, like or would just have you check pairs, and if any of them are positive, output 1, if neither of them are, output 0, I guess.
Something like that, yeah.
And then AND would check both to be the same, so we'd basically just have the same code from now, except slightly different. Yeah,
And would only accept both positive and both negative. Correct. So I
Yeah,
mean, it's
so-
not so different from.
Basically the same thing, and NAND would be like it would only accept positive and negative,
Correct.
and not any of the others. Yeah, like basically, like just using the code I've weaseled into your video game from across the globe. You could probably just adapt that to any logic gate you need. I don't know how useful the rest of the how the rest of the game will react to you attempting to approach its problems in terms of logic gates, but since it did just teach you XOR, I'm guessing well. So I don't know.
I have no idea.
Maybe this little chunk of code will be useful for later crazy garbage it gets you to do.
It could be. I feel like the further I go on in this game, the quickly more shut out I'm gonna be.
I mean, let me see how far into Space Chem I got. I'm pretty sure I got to like. How far did you get?
I wiped
Space
my old
Chem.
computer. I don't think the Steam save worked, so I was on the second planet, I think.
I got to the first. So I don't know if you've looked up anything about the story of Space Chem or if you even read it while you were playing.
There's a story.
Yeah, there's a story, and it starts with just like, oh, Space Chem is this like corrupt, unsafe, whatever, and it's that for two or three planets or so, and then it just turns Lovecraftian all of a sudden. And the mission I'm on, which is the last mission of the fourth planet, is a boss fight against a giant pyramid with an eyeball on it.
I just thought those fish cakes were weird, but okay.
Yep. So apparently I made it to the last mission of the fourth planet, which is slightly less than halfway through the game, apparently.
Well, I have Space Chem installed. I wonder if it has my stuff on it.
And yeah, it's let's see. I don't. Let me see if here we go. Story and info. Okay, so apparently I need to get. Oh, okay. So I've got something that pumps out with a 1/3 chance of each. Water, which is H2O. Tainted water, which has one of the hydrogen atoms replaced with uranium.
Holy shit.
And also tainted water, which is uranium to oxygen. I don't think that's water anymore. And what I need to do is extract uranium and feed it into something called a particle accelerator, which will fire lasers at the space pyramid. And I can also feed it hydrogen peroxide, which speeds it up. And I'm supposed to make hydrogen peroxide out of the spare hydrogen and oxygen from the treatment plant. And I gave up at some point here, evidently. I appear to have 4 reactors set up, and only one of them is doing anything.
I do remember the periodic table on Space Chem was a little bit janky. Is hydrogen peroxide still H2O too?
Yeah, no, it does have real formulas for things, but the only thing that the different elements actually mean is they have roughly the correct number of maximum bonds. So like hydrogen can only have 1 bond, oxygen can only have 2 bonds, carbon can only have 4 bonds. But if you want to make just like a spiral of oxygen and say that's a molecule, the game won't stop you. So
I have not played Space Chem for a while.
It's not actually a game about chemistry, it's a game about programming.
Yeah.
But hey, who knows? Like maybe if you find a sudden like burst of programming skill in yourself and finish Human Resource Machine, you could get back to this.
Yeah, well, I would say
it's basically like having a whole bunch of registers, but they can crash into each other, and also each register physically contains an instruction in addition to. Man, this metaphor breaks down a lot more with Space Chem.
Space Chem is definitely the harder of the 2 programs between Human Resource, but do you think Space Chem helps teach as opposed to Human Resource is just, hey, do you know this or not?
I feel like Space Chem will teach you to play Space Chem, but I feel like it is it is less obvious how to apply that to actual programming, whereas Human Resource Machine is literally just a coat of paint over assembly programming.
Gotcha.
Like, so a lot of a lot of what you need to do to optimize SpaceChem is based on your limited physical space in which to put instructions, and a lot of what makes certain solutions not work is because molecules will physically collide, and those don't really have any analogs in actual programming, which is why I said like SpaceChem mostly just teaches you to play SpaceChem. But it'll teach you some habits, probably some ideas. Because like it has if statements, it has loops, like it has loops built in. Like, it'll trick you into thinking you haven't learned anything about programming, though, and it's not obvious what you're actually learning, I don't think, if you don't know anything about programming.
I don't know enough. I was told by other programmers that SpaceChem would be something good to play with, but I never really understood. Like, cause from the very little Pascal that I used, I was like, I don't see how this translates very clearly. Because you're right, it's very exclusive to SpaceChem the way it has.
I think the only way you can use SpaceChem as a learning tool is like if you already know the basics of programming, this is a fun way to apply them in a new and unique way, and completely useless way, which is probably why it's not a great like tool for like it would be a good way to like motivate kids to learn more about programming, and probably not a good way for them to like actually learn practical programming skills.
Oh god.
Human Resource Machine seems like pretty much a fine way to learn assembly programming if you have like some guidance. But also nobody needs to learn assembly programming anymore. So here's a video game nobody but me has ever played, is something called Colobot. I assume you've never heard of it.
No, is it on Steam?
I doubt it. It's like 20 years old. I guess I'll check Steam, but I really don't think it is.
I doubt it.
Colobot. No, it is not. So it is a game from, let's find out. It's an educational game from Wikipedia. It doesn't even have the year it came out. Christ. Anyway, it's a very old 3D game about robots and programming. And the thing about Colobot is that the syntax, you actually like program these robots to do things like look for resources and build and move around and fight things. And like all the instructions are obviously like not real things because you're not programming a robot. Not programming a robot to move around when you're coding, but the syntax is basically exactly C++. So here, let me get you a screenshot.
They've remade this game. It's called Colobot Gold Edition, and they're planning on having it released on Steam. Let's see if it's
oh man. well there you go. But you can see there like you have procedure or method or whatever you call it, the way you do in a programming language.
Yep.
You have variables, like you see you have object item, which is it's object oriented, so you have objects. You have variables like that angle there. You have instructions, which like you can tell the instructions are they just functions for a video game, but you can see them as functions in a way you wouldn't if you were just controlling the game normally. So you have this function, it has arguments, you have loops, you have decision, like it is an actual programming language in that way. And that this I feel would genuinely work on its own as a teaching tool to just teach someone C++, because all you need to do after they've played this game is just tell them, oh, these aren't real, these are real, here, try doing this. Nice. Right? Like
this reminds me of a programming starter. There's a really dumbed down starter training program called Alice, and it is god awful, but it is very much object oriented learning of a language, and the concepts are solid behind it. It's just it looks ugly as all hell. That I did take for I think a semester just to get a credit out of the way in college, but it was that reminds me a lot of what this looks like actually. Actually, this looks better than Alice, and Alice is pretty recent, so.
But yeah, if you ever want to play a video game about learning C++ or apparently Java, I don't know anything, or maybe JavaScript. I think it's Java. One of those is a lot like C++. I don't know anything about them. Like my experience.
Yeah, you're correct. Yes. Mhm.
My programming experience is Pascal, C++, and GML, GameMaker language. Oh, and MATLAB.
Okay, could you explain the difference between a scripting language and a programming language? Is it just the fact that one hosts its own libraries within itself? Because like Python is a really good starting language to learn, but it's scripting. It's not
I'm
programming.
not entirely sure. I think it just has to do with like on what level it interacts with the with the operating system. Like basically, I think basically a programming language, you are literally writing the code of the application, and all it's doing is, when you compile it, is turning it into the relevant machine code. Whereas an interpreted, I guess that's what it's called, maybe a scripting language is you basically write the code and then it interprets it into. So like, you could write a C++ compiler in C++, and it wouldn't be a scripting language just because of that. But if you wrote something that, if you wrote a new programming language in C++ by having the program convert what you wrote into C++ when you compile it, then that's a scripting language, I think? Maybe not. Let's see. What does the internet say? So the internet says a scripting language is a programming language that doesn't require compilation. So the exact opposite of what I said.
Oh, okay.
I don't... Is this really what a scripting language is? Because that's... Let's ask more of the internet.
Okay, it's not ready. Colobot is not ready for release. It's still an alpha.
Yeah.
Less updated.
Closed as primarily opinion-based. Weird. But basically, the way I would think of it is like... personally, my definition would be like, the language in Colobot is a scripting language because you are telling the video game what to do, whereas actual C++ is a programming language because you can make your own video game in it. Like, I don't think you could... I guess you could make your own video game in Colobot, but it would still be within the confines of Colobot in a way it wouldn't be in, like, even if you never make an exe of it, like, of something you code in a compiler window is never really, like, within the confines of the compiler.
So could you think of it as though Warcraft 3 is a program, Dota originally was just a script because it was a video game.
Warcraft 3 does actually have its own scripting language, so yes.
There we go.
And I believe Dota uses a bunch of it. I don't know, like, wait, Ingo? Hold the fucking phone. This better not be... Okay. I know someone named Ingo and he's a programmer, and I would have been really mad if I just found him answering this question on Stack Exchange. But this is a different Ingo.
Yeah, that would be a really small world scenario right there.
Oh boy. Anyway. Yeah, so that's my definition of scripting language, is like a scripting language is confined within something else in a way that doesn't let it escape and become its own application. Apparently that's not what people mean, though, so... That definition will only be useful if you are talking to me.
I guess, because, like, Python itself is standalone, but it's purely a scripting language, as though it's what it's called, so what would be the greater program it'd be running inside?
Yeah, apparently not. Apparently that's just not within what it means.
Yeah,
I've been living a lie.
Right.
The Wikipedia page for Python is Python parenthesis programming language. So
okay.
Wikipedia doesn't believe it. I think it's just that the guy who made Python describes it as a scripting language because... Okay, hold on.
Well, Yazpos calls it a scripting language too, and they're pretty up on that stuff.
I guess? But they're also, like, the kind of person that's gonna care what a nerd calls his programming language.
Yeah. True.
Okay, let's ask... Okay, so here's the thing. Python can serve as a scripting language for web applications, so the thing that it is scripting for is your browser.
Fair enough.
So it is code that is being interpreted by your browser, as opposed to, like, directly by your operating system. I
that
guess
that makes sense to me. That's fine.
That makes sense to me too. This is my new possibly false belief. I guess it's still it's my old belief, but now reinforced by possibly false information. Oh man, I really love false beliefs being reinforced by possibly false information. For some reason, the first example that comes to mind is there's this, like, I watched a guy play through all of Dark Souls without any information from the outside. Like, he purposely didn't let anyone tell him anything about the game.
Sure.
And due to the fact that Andre the blacksmith at one point mentions, like, neither of us wants you to go hollow, and the first time he tried talking to him, he was slightly too far away and hollow, and the second time he tried talking to him, he was exactly close enough and human. He spent like 50 hours thinking he needed to be human to talk to Andre. It was pretty good.
That is...
It's pretty good.
That's gotta be a fringe case of some serious bullshit, though. That's terrible.
I just really love confirmation bias. It just makes me happy.
Alright, dude. Well, thanks for the help with that level, because it was really fucking me up, and I feel stupid. I gotta come back to that game later. I can't continue on right now.
I feel like it... I don't know. I guess if you have already gotten some amount of programming experience, then just... Like, if you are capable of coming up with an algorithm for the things that it gives you and you're just not very good at it, then just stick to it and you'll probably, like, either beat the game or get real tired of it.
Yeah.
I don't know that you actually need to look up anything. Like, I feel like you have, from what you've told me, assuming you weren't paying absolutely no attention in all those classes you were telling me about, you probably have, like, the basics down.
I mean, that's
like,
yeah.
Not being good at seeing an algorithm in a problem the way I just did, and like the speed with which I solve this probably makes you think I'm good at it. I'm not. This is just a relatively simple problem, but like, if you...
Well, I was approaching it completely differently. So I was always thinking, I was like,
yeah,
well, we gotta...
also that, like, you were also, like, making it harder for yourself than you needed to.
Because I didn't see an easier way, correct.
Or that, right. Like, what I mean by that is, like, the thing was asking you to compare some signs, and you decided to do something other than use the function that compares signs. Which is why I say you were making it harder for yourself than you needed to.
Yeah, I didn't really think of the... I didn't think of the jump option as a sign comparison tool, and that's my lack of understanding. So
right, like right, because there's one that says if negative, which doesn't make it immediately obvious that it, if it doesn't jump, then it's positive, and that's just an if statement for sign. So yeah, like, I guess in that sense, the abstraction failed you. The abstraction that is the game's little. I guess there isn't much of an abstraction, really. It's just a cute.
No, I mean, when someone sees that and they've already been familiar with it, they've used it. Like I said, I've never actually run into an issue where I've never learned what XOR was, XOR was, and I once I learned the concept of it, I was like, okay, now I understand it, but I still had to figure out a practical solution on how to compare signs, and I still just didn't see the obvious use the jump if negative thing. So
I wonder if I had. Well, if I had told you to do this in, like, Pascal, you would have told me to fuck off. But assuming someone you had to listen to told you to do this in Pascal, do you think it would have been easier or harder?
Well,
like, assuming you were in whatever phase of your life you knew the syntax.
Yeah, if it were fucking 15 years ago, I probably would have been able to sit down and figure it out because I was familiar with the tools at the time.
Right, but I mean, like, it would probably have been easier to figure out. Oh, I need to compare signs. Let's just. If this less than 0, else the other thing, right?
There you go. Yeah.
And the fact that it's like jump if, like, assembly programming, I think, is just harder in that way. Like, it's way less intuitive. Anyway, video games.
No, I got you. No, that's what makes good programmers stand out, though. I mean, they can see the absolute potential with the most basic tools.
I feel like there's probably a good programmer somewhere in me, but, like, I know just how angry I get when the good programmer doesn't want to come out.
Gotcha.
That's why I didn't go into that as like a career path. So instead I went into engineering, which is awful.
Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily the easier path, but okay.
I mean, it wasn't so much that it was easier, so much as I expected it to make me less angry. And I think it's like I don't know because I don't have access to the alternate universe in which I went to like comp sci or whatever university. But
Both paths are filled with doing nothing but the world's hardest problem solving and unrewarding feelings for them. So yeah.
Good shit. I love filth and garbage day. I love being crushed by heavy objects.
There you go.
That's me. All right. Well, this was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, it was good catching up with you.
Thank
It's been a while.
humoring me.
Oh no, thanks for coming by.
Let me know when this game crushes you again. I'll give it another shot.
Right on. All right, dude.
All right.
Take it easy.
Bye bye.